Welcome to Morning Infusion with Dr. V, where we are intentional about connecting you with other entrepreneurs that have overcome and want to provide value to the audience. It's Dr. V here, where our coaching program teaches nurses to work from their computers anywhere around the world, making money and owning their own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. So we have with us today Ieasha Nickelson, who was absolutely phenomenal. I do have to say. So, Ieasha, so tell us, so like if people have to describe who you are, so give us a brief bio of who you are.
All right, so I am Aisha. I've been a nurse for about 15 years now, and I've been in healthcare for even longer. So basically, I am a health coach. In my experience in healthcare, it spearheaded my passion to impact the lives of women through health, and gave birth to my business, Evolve Health. So I've seen through my own personal journey as well as my work how serious health conditions can be prevented and reversed through a healthier lifestyle. So through Evolve, I work with women, I coach, I educate, I encourage women to reach their best selves through health and wellness. So I'm basically really, really committed to helping women take back their life, their health, their happiness, and get the snatched body that you deserve.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Because yours is snatched. I mean, not that I'm looking or anything, but I mean, you look pretty phenomenal. Okay. So, one of the things that I noticed that when I was going through school, so I went through four different schools. I went through school to get my associate degree, my bachelor's, my master's, and my DNP. And so they were. It wasn't like it was the same school. The
Mhm.
only school that offered me a nutrition class was prior to the nursing program. I had to do a prereq,
Mhm.
and that was it. Outside of that, no nutrition classes at all. Why do you think that is?
I think that is so because we as a culture where we are now, our world, we it's so treatment focused, and we have this huge industry of pharmacology. And so a lot of times the treatments are always, let's treat the symptoms, let's not worry about the problems. So in nursing school, we learn about problems and how to treat them. The pharmacological side of things, we didn't learn about, okay, well, we would learn like basic diet things. Okay, well, if a person has kidney problems, then they probably shouldn't eat this, and then, different things like that. But pharmacology, you had a huge course in pharmacology. We had to learn all the meds, we had to learn the doses, all of these things. So that's why, because we push the pharmacological side. We don't push the nutritional side, the holistic side, the things that are actually help you. Because when you take medication, you got to take another medication for the side effects of that medication and all those things. So that's what it's about. It's about making money. So we're in the industry of making money.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And so Dr. Brittany Bass, she said, yes, holistic care. The deal is that, we want to, I remember I had she was a director, and this is what she said, because what happened was we had all these patients that kept coming to the emergency department year after year after year after year. Now, I've been a nurse for 30 years. And so when I first started in the ER, like, we didn't have as many people coming into the ER,
Mhm.
right? But now it's like unreal
Yes.
numbers coming into the ER. And the load is so high that, you can barely handle the load,
Mhm.
right? And so I know that the way that we have been doing things is not going to work in the future.
Mhm.
And what you're doing, your work is amazing. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
So yeah, I mean, what we're doing currently is not working, and that's why a lot of home health agencies are popping up. It's a lot of coaches and dietitians. All of these different careers are leaning towards a healthier like lifestyle, healthier teaching, because we can't just give people medication and think that that's going to help them, because then the ERs will continue to be overloaded because they're going to have more problems, they're going to have more illnesses, and the hospitals, we are already losing nurses because of the overload, the overwork, and all of these things. And we want more, we want better for ourselves. And when you look at nurses in general, like the population of nurses is really, really unhealthy. And that's because we compromise ourselves for the work, we compromise what we're doing. And I believe that life is full of compromises, but who you are should never be on the list.
I know that's right. I know that's right. And there was a Shanora that I had on the podcast previously, and so
Mhm,
she talks about nurses who are in relationship with other people, right? And one
mhm,
of the things that she talked about was the fact that nurses, because we are always giving, 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 and whether it be to the administration or whether we give it to our
mhm.
patients, nobody really gives to us, right?
Yeah.
And because they don't give to us, then it's almost like we have settled into that,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
But I think that, you know, the times are definitely changing, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Mhm.
So we talked a little bit about the ugly side of nursing. Now that's part of the ugly side of nursing. So
Mhm.
tell us some more about the ugly side of nursing. And Dr. Brittany Bass said health promotion is a growing focus, population health, and it is absolutely, because you
Absolutely.
have to work proactively instead of reactively. It's sort of like whenever you go into the burn center. If you already burned, then it's just going to cause you increased
Absolutely.
problems afterwards. And so they have a heavy focus on prevention, and
Mhm.
that's what we need to be focused on. But go ahead and talk about the other side of nursing, another one.
And so when you look at nursing where we are, I recently left the hospital, and I was a travel nurse for the last year, and outside of management, because I was in management for a while. And that part already was, it just takes you to another level when it comes to focusing on everything but yourself. When you're expected to show up and be available for 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and then you don't have nurses in the hospital that show up, so then as a manager you expected to kind of come and be a support. And then not only do that, do the administrative side. That's a whole nother beast all by itself. So, administration is not that big of a support for the nursing staff on the unit, because they're overloaded, they're overwhelmed, they're overworked themselves, and it makes it harder for the nurse on the unit to really be able to find that support and get the time to even go to the bathroom, let alone, okay, well, let me actually make my lunch. Hospital administration thinks that let's buy everybody pizza, and that's going to fix the
which is
problem.
which is unhealthy.
Absolutely. It's like, let me just buy everybody pizza, and then we're gonna bring cupcakes, and we'll just add to the issue of the lack of awareness around health and nutrition when it comes to our nurses staff. So when you have nurses who are not sleeping, you have nurses who are not eating healthy, what are you getting? You're actually getting more patients, really, because the nurse is going to become a patient at some point. So when it comes to me and my focus, I've worked over, even during COVID, it was just, really, really awful just to see all of the lives that were lost during that time. And so for me, I was in a space of not being as happy and healthy with myself, because I was so overworked and burned out with all of that. And I know so many other nurses are as well during that time. And so when you look at what the lives that were lost during that time, a lot of the pre-existing conditions they had were really, really things that we could have controlled, when it comes to like the blood pressure issues, the diabetes, and neuropathy. All of these things come from one issue, and it just kind of evolves. And so what I love to do at this point is I want to take nursing out of the hospital and put it in the kitchen. I've been a part of a system that has been treatment focused for so long that I decided to focus on illness prevention and holistic healing so that we as women can live healthier and happier. So that's kind of what I do.
I love that. I love that. Take it out of the hospital and put it in the kitchen because
In the
it's
kitchen.
true.
Yeah,
It's true. It's true. The more we focus on and I think that it's just an unsexy topic.
hmm,
But the topic, I mean, literally, you can be so much more creative when you have the wherewithal, when you have the clarity, the mental clarity to be able to do the things that you need to do. I mean, you think about nurses who are in the hospital, and if I eat a piece of pizza, then what does that do? You
hmm,
know, that does not make me
absolutely,
healthier. And so then it all transgresses, it all goes to the patient, right? Because
absolutely,
people are so focused on the patient, and administration is focused on the patient because the patient satisfaction scores.
correct,
But the
absolutely,
reality is that you have to make your nurses happy. You make your nurses happy, you give them what they need, the nurses will then translate it to the patients, period, point blank in the story.
absolutely,
But
absolutely. And when you like we were just talking about with the pizza, so when you eat this, you've already not had breakfast. You've already have barely had water, because you're running. These nurses are having like 7, 8 patients on a med surge unit at this point. So you barely get a chance to even learn the patient's name at this point. We are trying to give meds and all this. So now we're at noon, and now you're trying to catch up with those medications, and then oh, well, I'm going to give pizza. So we're now dehydrated, we're exhausted, and then we're going to add a really unhealthy meal choice to that equation. Now the nurse is going to start to feel sluggish. She's going to be bloated, and she's going to feel like crap. So where is the education, the real patient education, going to come from? Because she does not have the capacity at this point to provide that. So now we're going to be giving very subpar care to the patients, and it's not because the nurse does not want to, but she probably does not have the capacity. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm bloated, I'm eating all the wrong things. So where is the energy, the extra energy that she needs to actually be the nurse that she really wants to be? And we have so many nurses out here that went to school, and they got out of school and they were like, yes, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be the greatest. And then the workload hits them, and it's like you can barely stay above water when you're on the floor. So you can't even get to the capacity of being the best nurse that you can be for your patients and be able to provide the education for the medication. Tell them what to look for when they get home. All of these things. So what does that lead to? Readmissions. ER is getting backed up. We're going to end up having our hospitals, filled with the same patients, the same issues. And it's coming from a systemic issue, not just this one nurse who was not able to teach the patient properly.
and the nurse can't teach the patient properly if the nurse doesn't know how to do it herself.
Absolutely.
you know
Absolutely.
if she's not practicing those things in her own life,
Correct.
then translating that to the patient is a whole different ball game. And so it's huge, huge, huge. And you talk about the patients that are on the med surge unit, the 7 and 8 patients. And I remember I told one of the nursing leader, well, he was a CO. Well, I'm not gonna say who he was. Anyway, I told him that 4 patients in an acute emergency department was too many patients. It's just too many patients.
Mhm.
Because if
Mhm.
you have one patient with a stroke, you have one patient with a heart attack, you have one patient with sepsis, and then you have one, even if you have one other patient, you're not taking care of those patients. And that could be a scenario. It's actually the scenario that happened with me. The reality is that you need to have a very systematic way of taking care of your patients so that each patient is able to be taken care of. So I love that.
Yeah.
So you provide, we talked a little bit about transitioning into entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And so I want to know kind of, where did you start? Like, where did you think, how did this come about?
So when it came to just, moving from focusing on the treatment industry and being a nurse, we as nurses, we come into the industry, and we didn't know 15 years ago that where we are, we actually, it was a possibility. So we thought that, okay, we become nurses, we are at the bedside, we're taking care of people, we're doing what we do. And it wasn't until I found myself in an unhealthy position and I had to learn how to properly take care of myself, how to not just settle for an excuse for where I was and become the solution. And so that's what I did. I really became my own solution to the problem. So I was trying to figure out, I didn't learn in nursing school all the things about how to be healthy. But once I found myself having high blood pressure, it was like, wait, hold on. Like, this is not acceptable. This is not an acceptable life for myself. And if I have these illnesses, and how am I going to go treat patients and teach them how to be healthy, and I'm not doing it myself? So I feel like a hypocrite. So it was like, okay, it was a mandate on me to really focus on myself and get myself healthy because I need to be available for my family. One of the things that I teach my a lot of my clients is that your jobs will replace you. Your family cannot. So when you focus on yourself,
And that
you
hot New York second, I really had to just add that in. Go ahead.
yes. So when you focus on yourself, you are putting your family first. And that's 100% key to my life. I am focused on my family. I love taking care of everybody else. But if I'm not taking care of myself so I can be available for my family, then what good am I to take care of other people's family? So when I discovered that, it was like an eye opener for me. And it was just kind of a bridge. So I decided, I started working with other women. And I started, helping them change what they eat, lifestyle, all of those things. And we kind of went on this journey together. And so I discovered that, okay, well, it's so many women out here, so many women in healthcare, so many women in other industries who are busy, who are career focused, and they really want to be healthy, but they just don't know how. The Bible tells us, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the education to be able to change our lives, then you need that support, you need that catalyst to get you there. So that's what I became. To help other women to get to a better version of themselves. So that transition for me looked like me changing my life and then discovering that this is something that is needed. And so I decided last year that I needed to go and focus on this because if I put time into the hospital, the treatment system, they're going to burn me out and I won't have much to offer my clients. So here I am. I stepped out and I've been doing it, and things have been going really well. And I've been changing lives so much more fulfilling than just handing pills and starting IVs and things like that, because I'm changing lives for the future, not just a temporary fix.
I love all of that because, and that's what I say that nurse entrepreneurship is all about, right?
Yes.
It's really, really doing things very differently than what they have already been done.
Mhm.
Because the
Yeah,
definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different
correct.
result. And the reality is that we have been doing things like this for years and years and
Yes.
years. And so you affecting your clients, and that's one less patient that the
True.
hospital has to take care of. And
Mhm.
no shade to the hospital, they have to run their facilities.
Right.
Them replacing you, and I get that, but what I think that sometimes we go in and we think that we're so important that they won't, right? The reality is that they will, because they have to run the facilities. But the
Mhm.
issue though is that you have to, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to focus on myself. That's selfish. Being selfish is is what you should be doing, right? Because
Right.
you have to pour into your cup, your own cup.
Correct.
And until you have to pour into your cup, until your cup is overflowing.
Correct.
When your cup is overflowing, I never felt in nursing, and I don't know if you did, and maybe you can tell me whether you did. Very rarely did I feel in nursing that my cup was overflowing. Never.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I never felt like my cup was overflowing. I felt like it was always I was kinda keeping it half full, trying. I was struggling just to keep it half full because of everything that we had going on. So it's like, as soon as you get a little bit in there, then everything else is kind of pulling from it. So I love, that factor. Like you have to make sure your cup is overflowing. So then everything that's coming out is for everybody else.
Right. Exactly. And you're full all the
You're
time.
full all the time. Because
And
if
I think
you're not, then it's gonna be there's no room for you to provide to other people because you haven't filled yourself.
that's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
so you did it for yourself. And
Hmm.
then you were like, oh, I'm gonna make this into a business. Did you just decide that? Like, how did that come about?
So I kind
What had
of did.
happened was,
What
go
had
ahead.
happened was I said, yes, if I can do this and I know that it's life changing, then how many more lives can I actually impact? And so when I thought about that, I'm like, well, yeah, this is a business. Like, and so I didn't really see it as a business. I was just like, okay, well, this is something I can do. And so, I started doing it as a little hobby, and people actually like, really were getting results from it. And I'm like, okay, well, you doing stuff for free. People don't really value. They don't really value you, and they don't take it serious, but it was really impacting people. And then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this is something that I enjoy and I love. I was so passionate with people that were in my program and they got results. I was like more excited than they were because I've seen the other side of life where people come in and they have all these issues and they don't make the changes, they don't see the results. And so every time I had a client that saw results or and they blood pressure medications, they got off the blood pressure medications, they were pre-diabetic, diabetics, and oh, now my A1C is 5. My A1C is really great, and I don't have to take any medication. Like that type of stuff was like exciting for me. I was like rooting them on, like I was a part of their family. And so that part is what really pushed me to say, okay, yes, this is a business. And I went into nursing, I went into healthcare so that I can change lives. And this is where my passion lies, is not just treatment wise, it is basically preventing all of those things and helping people to get to a better space. One of my favorite quotes is from Michelle Obama, and she says, being a healthy woman isn't about getting on a scale and measuring your waistline. We need to start focusing on what matters, how we feel, and how we feel about ourselves. So it wasn't just about them getting on the scale and saying, oh, I lost 30 pounds, I lost 50 pounds. It was about the passion, the happiness, the excitement that they were feeling about themselves that they had not felt in years. So that is what really made me say, okay, this is a business and I am so needed in this world. So here I am.
Yes, yes, yes. You are absolutely needed. So I want you to talk a little bit about the people that you try to help for free. And then let me tell you the reason why is because I have a client and I love her dearly. And one of the things that we talked about, she said that she was going to do some mentoring for free. And I said, well, okay. I said, "Is that going to?" I said, I don't think that that's what you should do." And so she said that God had told her to do that, and so
Mhm.
she went into that and found out that it was not as it should be because what
Mhm.
happened was people didn't value her time.
Right.
Okay, when they don't have people have to have skin in the game. I
Mhm.
mean, and when they have skin in the game, then they show up for themselves and they show up for the outcome. So tell me a little bit about the difference between paid coaching and free coaching.
So when you look at free coaching, when I first started, I, was helping people. And when it comes to the time that you put into your program, you put into what you are providing them, these folks, they were like, sometimes they didn't show up for our calls. Sometimes they were, oh, well, yeah, last week it was a bad week. I just ended up, eating this and, so then it set them back. And then it was kind of like this merry-go-round. And then I'm chasing them. And it's like, wait, I am trying to help you. And they did not value that. So it was like, okay, so Do you really want this, or do I want this more for you? And if I wanted more for them, then it's not going to be beneficial. So they weren't seeing as great results. I had a couple that were, really committed, but it was always me chasing them. So it's like we have to have this mutual relationship in in this business, because we are trying to help each other. I'm trying to help you change your lives, and I want to see your results, period. And so once I started charging, and I started off really, really low, like really low. That was almost free. And I had people that would pay for the program. I don't know if they was just trying to give a donation or what, but they would pay for the program and not show up. Like I didn't see them one day. And and it's virtual, okay? So it's not like you have to meet me or come in or anything. So I was like, well, maybe this is probably still too low. So once I actually, focused on changing my prices and making this a commitment to other people, like, okay, well, when you put some skin in the game, you put some money on the table, then you know that this is where you want to be. You want to see the results that come out of this. And that's when it changed. That's when I started getting the commitment. That's when I started having people like they were ready for the calls before I was. They were coming on the calls like, hey, I know, look, I might not have done the best this week, but I'm going to do better next week. Like they were coming prepared because they knew that what I had provided them was of value and they wanted to see the results from it. And so that's when it changed. When you giving away stuff for free, people don't value your time. They don't value what you offer. But if somebody else is paying good money for it, then they're gonna say, hey, this is worth it. So I'm gonna do everything that I did because I invested in this. And it's just not my time, it's my money too.
And the
So
reality is that you've been a nurse. How long have you been a nurse?
15 years.
15 years. You've been a nurse for 15 years, right? You've been a nurse for 15 years. Your nursing experience, along
Mhm.
with the fact that you are, number one, you transition yourself, right?
Cool.
And not only that, all the knowledge that you're continually learning because you're continually learning.
Absolutely.
Aisha shows up. Now, I just want to let everybody know. Okay. Aisha shows up like when I came up here, like when I log on, I knew Aisha was going to already be in the room. I knew she was already going to be in the room because that's how she shows up.
Mhm.
So she shows up with excellence. And so when you have someone who shows up with excellence like that, then that's how she shows up with excellence because her client, and that's how her clients would show up because it's the mirror effect. And
Mhm.
so that's one of the things too as well. So thank you for showing up in excellence. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is where can we find you?
Well, glad you asked. So you can find me on Instagram at Evolve Health 2.0, and on Facebook at Evolve Health 2.0. And my website as well is evolvehealth20.com. So those are all the places. I do lots of posting. I do a lot of education, a lot of videos and things like that that kind of help you think about where you are in your life currently. And if you are not happy where you are, if you are a busy woman who don't feel like the gym is for you all the time, some people think that health starts in the gym. No, it starts in the kitchen, and it can be developed more in the gym. But if that's you, if you feel like, you are busy, you focus on your career and you want to change your life and you don't know how, then I got you. Hit me up at one of those areas, and schedule a consultation, and we can chat about how I can help you change your life, your health, and your waistline.
That's right. And and it's a waistline, but let me tell you something. It changes your wealth too, right? It's your
Yes,
health, it's your wealth, right? If
absolutely.
you can't show up like you do if you didn't have the energy and you have
Mhm.
got the energy to do that. Now, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So in 5 years, I really see myself growing Evolve Health. I really see myself on speaking on larger platforms, because it's not just about helping a small number of clients. I want to help change the lives of multiple hundreds of thousands of people, throughout the world. So in 5 years, Evolve Health will be a brand that everybody will know about, and it will be, you will hear me speaking on large stages, and just being able to impact not just women, but women, men, children everywhere, so that I can make sure that people understand how they need to change their eating habits, live healthier, so that we can live longer.
So all of you that are out there that are having conferences that need to have Ieasha at your conference, you hit her up, okay? Because that's what she's going to be doing over the next 5 years. All right, she's going to be an international speaker. We're going to speak that into existence.
Absolutely.
And so, are you going to do anything with Med Spa?
So
You
that
know,
is that I had, look, I got it all in my list, that is on my to-do list over the next 3 years, to
okay.
kind of work that in there. I really was focused on that a little bit earlier this year, but I really wanted to kind of transition my focus to make sure I grow my business, Evolve Health. But absolutely, because I feel like when it comes to a physical space, a med spa, I do juicing and all types of things. And even in that realm, just having people come in and me being able to speak to them, with the IV infusions, a lot of the things, nutrition wise, being able to physically touch people and teach them, educate, all those things. So, yes, my goal is to have a med spa within the next 3 years as well. So,
Sweet. So
yeah.
we'll be waiting for that as well.
Looking
Okay.
out for lots of things from Evolve. Yes, absolutely. We'll be evolving over the next 5 years.
I love it. I love it. So everybody go follow her, Evolve Health 2.0,
Yes.
correct, on
Yeah.
Instagram for sure, and on Facebook. So we will be having our conference, our Six Figure Nurse CEO conference is coming up February 24th and 25th. It is going to be amazing. We've got everything lined up for it to be a great time. We'll be learning lots of things about how to start and really grow your coaching and consulting business. Ticket sales shut down February 17th, 2023. So don't forget to get your tickets prior to then. And that is it. We teach nurses how to work from their computers anywhere around the world, making money and owning their own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You guys have a phenomenal rest of your day. And thank you, Ieasha, for showing up here today.